So to explain the law of parity, I'm going to use the whiteboard here just so it's a little bit easier for you to follow along. Because if I'm just throwing numbers out, I know it can be confusing. This is Paul Mann, the Realty Man. 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 Oh, the Realty Man. 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 So let's assume that we have $100,000 in income for the year. And to simplify everything here, we're just going to use a flat tax rate of 15%. And the reason for that is because in reality you'd be in a 28% tax bracket if you made $100,000. And it's not, once again, it's not a flat tax rate, it's a progressive rate. So for the first $37,950 you're going to pay 15%, and then from that amount up to $91,900 you're going to pay 25%, and then for the amount from $91,000 to $100,000 you're going to pay 28%. So it's a progressive rate, it's not a flat rate. So to keep it simple, we're just going to say 15%. So if you're paying 15% of $100,000 to taxes, then that means we're paying $15,000 to the IRS, which leaves us with $85,000 to keep, to pay our bills, do whatever we want with. Remember that how that works, okay? 15% of $100,000 is $15,000, which leaves us with $85,000 to take home. Now, let's say we take that $100,000 and we put it in our traditional IRA. Once again, we can't do that because of the tax laws, but just to keep it simple, let's say it's possible, okay? So we have $100,000 that we've put in a traditional IRA. And let's say this $100,000 grows by 7.2% each year over the next 10 years. So that means in 10 years, you will have $200,000 in your traditional IRA. Now, let's say you're 60 years old at this point. So you decide I can take that money out without paying tax penalties. You will pay income tax on that $200,000. So once again, if we're using that 15% tax bracket, we're going to actually pay $30,000 to the IRS for taking that $200,000 out, which leaves us with $170,000 that we can keep out of our IRA, our traditional IRA. Okay? Now let's use the Roth as an example. Now remember, with the Roth IRA, we pay taxes on the money before we contribute it. With the traditional, that money's a tax write-off, so it acts as if we haven't paid taxes yet on that. So with the Roth, once again, we started with that $100,000, but we paid 15% taxes on that. So we're actually putting $85,000 into our Roth. And let's say that $85,000 grows at that same rate of return, 7.2% for the next 10 years. So if you take, and so that tells me that it's going to double. So $85,000 that doubles, multiply 85,000 by 2, that gives us $170,000 tax-free. Okay, that's the rule of parity. So what it tells us is that it doesn't matter if you're using a Roth or if you're using a traditional. If tax rates do not change today versus whenever you retire, then you're going to keep the same amount. So that's why you need to look at it and say, okay, do you believe taxes are going to go up? Personally, I do. Tax rates are lower than they've ever been in history. And on top of that, our national debt just keeps going up. So that money to pay the national debt has to come from somewhere, and most of the time they're going to get that from taxes. What I used to recommend to my clients when I was a financial advisor is, because we don't know exactly what taxes are going to do now, in addition to that, we don't know exactly what tax bracket you'll be in the future. In addition to that, if you're in a high tax bracket now, we don't want to put all of your money into a Roth IRA or a Roth 401k. We want to put some in the traditional so that that's a tax write-off for you this year to help to bring you down to a lower tax bracket. And then we want to put some of it into a Roth, because when you retire, you want to have the option, okay, if I take out $90,000 out of the traditional, that still keeps me in the 15% tax bracket, and I can take out an additional 10 or 20 or however much you want out of the Roth, and it's not going to bump you up to a higher tax bracket.
You gotta be kidding me.
Comment below, tell me what you want to learn about, whether it's real estate or the financial planning world. Subscribe to my channel, make sure you like, share, do whatever you want with my videos. Appreciate you guys watching. Peace.